Well, hello and welcome to the San Angelo Live Political Desk. I'm Yantis Green, Editor-in-Chief again, and today I'm with Aaron Sorrells. Aaron, you are running for Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Texas.
That is correct. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're glad you're here. We just met, so I don't really know a lot about you. Where are you from, and what's your background?
I am from Fort Worth, Texas. I'm fifth generation Texan. I've been pretty much here my whole life. We've moved once or two times, but nothing for very long. My background is pretty much just a hardworking American. I went to college for a year and a half. Just wasn't my thing. I always made good money and worked hard. Everything I've done, been managers, different things. And ultimately, I realized that the same reason I'm running for office is the same reason I couldn't keep working for big corporations. I don't do well when people don't follow the rules that they set. And, that tends to happen. So ultimately, I ended up starting my own business with my father. And we've grown a lot. We currently have 26 employees. And just, like I said, I'm no different than anybody else. I'm just someone that's working hard my whole life and made something of it.
Great. And we were talking earlier, you're a family man.
Yes, I have been married for about to be 17 years, and I have three boys, 14, 11, and 8, and they're everything to me. So I'm doing this because I don't want to see their freedoms gone.
Great. All right, let's talk about Lieutenant Governor and your political experience. What attracted you to the job, and why throw your hat into the ring?
So I have no political experience other than I started watching Rush Limbaugh when I was 12 years old, and I will be 41 in 2 weeks. So my experience is, basic knowledge that most people would have. I've been very involved as far as paying attention. Back in 2008, during the Obama, the start of Obama, I was working on Tea Party stuff with a lot of people, and I got pretty involved, but things just didn't carry the way I wanted, and I had to take care of my family, so I went back and we grew our business. But why I got in this position now is what I see is the people at the top of the Texas legislature, the Texas executive, everything, from Abbott to Patrick to Dade Phelan, nobody is protecting Texas citizens. Everything is do whatever the federal government says. And, everybody says, why did you go all the way to the top? Because depending on how you look at it, the lieutenant governor is actually the most powerful position in Texas.
That's correct.
And so everybody says, well, why? Why didn't you get your feet wet? Well, because what happens is when you get your feet wet is they try to groom you. And if you stand out against the crowd, you're one of 100, one of 40, you get pushed around. You look at redistricting. They just took 3 of the most conservative House reps out with redistricting. And we say that's a Democratic thing. Well, no, the Republicans did it to ourselves. So I'm going for a position where you're going to have to listen to me. I'm going to stand up there and tell you what's going to go on, and we're going to do what the Texas citizens want.
Okay, and let's see. Let's talk about Dan Patrick. He is obviously the incumbent. What are you going to do differently?
Well, first thing is I'm actually going to follow what the Texas GOP asks. So every year every legislative session, he has been given 8 priorities, and we never get those done. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually take care of what the people ask to be done, because that's my job. My job is not to go up there with my priorities and get my priorities done. I'm a public servant. I am to do what the people ask. The problem with the system is, and the way Dan and Abbott control it, is that they, we look at these guys like they're the leaders and they control us. And in reality, the way our government works is we, the people, control them. They're to do what we ask. And so that's my first priority, is to take care of the 8 priorities that are handed to me, and then move from there to other individual priorities that I have myself once those are resolved.
Okay, and this is Texas is a red state. It's a Republican state.
Correct.
And this is the Republican primary, which
Correct.
will be March 1st. So this is the beginning sort of the campaign trail. It's a big state. How are you going to cover it, and what does the campaign look like?
Campaign's going very good. Coming from someone who was not in the system, which some people say, oh, that's not good. Well, I beg to differ. I think it is good. People are tired of politicians. They'd rather see someone like themselves fighting the fight. So the campaign is going very good. My name is growing rapidly. I'm getting calls from all over the state, so obviously things are progressing the way I would want them. My plan's going to be a little different. I'm not going to tell everybody what I'm doing. Obviously, there's other people running against me. They're going to want to know those answers. But I think we have to change up what we're doing. Part of the problem in politics is that we keep doing the same methods and we keep wondering why we don't get different results. I think it's kind of the definition of insanity. We have modern technology. While it's bad and as far as our elections go, it's good as far as reaching people. And so you kind of have to change things up. I think Trump kind of set a method that will work. Doing the old version and running around like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to cover the state of Texas. One, it takes a lot of money and it requires dropping a whole lot of flyers into big cities, and unfortunately the big cities don't change their voting habits. So I'm trying to reach it differently. I'm trying to reach Hispanics, the urbans, the Asians, the communities that just because the skin colors aren't the same doesn't mean they don't believe what we believe. And that's a problem with our politics right now, is we want to make this all about division, and in reality a lot of people believe the same way, and we need to stop looking at color and start looking at values. And if we do that, I think we can bring a lot more people to the voting booth.
All right. And there are a couple of issues that are pressing right now facing the state, and you don't have to go far from here to find the border. Let's talk about border security and where you stand on that.
Well, if we don't secure our border, we don't have a sovereign state.
That's very true.
Plain and simple. I've actually been to the border twice. I have a live recording of me in Roma on my Facebook page where I was watching the National Guard actually assist the coyotes bringing people across, and then they would walk up to Border Patrol and they would just sit down like they were on an amusement ride and just get in line. So you tell me our leadership will tell you that they're doing something about it. In reality, they're not. We are just funneling them through to the federal agents. Federal agents are taking them and shipping them all over the country on our tax time. So, then I went down to, which if anybody's been paying too much attention right now, Bracketville, Kinney County, all of the talking about deputizing people. I was actually there at the commissioner's court when that happened, and I went out that night in full body armor with my AR and pistol with a bunch of militia, and the sheriff, given authority to us to go down there and patrol. Nothing into the crazy areas, nothing that's going to get us in trouble, but to go see it. And we watched two trains back to back, and when they saw us, we saw shadows hopping on the train, and then they stopped, and then the train backs up to get out of our view, and then it takes off at full speed. And then as soon as that happened, the second train took off. I don't know about y'all, but I've been around trains my whole life. I've never seen two trains that close together in the middle of the night, and then they just zoom off one after another. Something shady's going on, including a minivan with its lights on that when it drove by us was empty all of a sudden. There's nobody down there. There's no reason to be by that train. It wasn't an official vehicle. So what do we got to do? We need to stop it. And one of the things we can do, since they keep saying, well, it's federal, it's federal, it's federal, well, the state highways are not federal property, and we can shut it down. And what I won't do is sit on the TV going on Fox News like Dan Patrick crying how nobody will save us, and then go on there and say, well, if the federal government would give me authority, I would pay for 9,500 National Guard. Well, you know what? We have the right in our own Constitution to fund our own militia, our own military. And I know militia is such a bad word, but a militia is how we won our independence in the first place. So we can fund it. I can write the bills. I can get it pushed through, and I can force the executive branch to do their job if need be.
Okay, and the other is the pandemic and pandemic recovery, I suppose. That's going to be an issue through the primary and after the election as well. What are the things you do to get this behind us?
Well, first thing is you stop letting the federal government, usurp their powers. They don't have the authority to tell us what to do as far as these vaccine mandates go. OSHA has no legal authority. Mandates are not laws. I know that's a shocker for a lot of people, but they're not. So even when our own governor issues a mandate, it doesn't mean we have to listen. Once again, we, the people, control it. So first, we just need to empower the people to actually stand up against the federal government. One of the things we should be doing is we should be writing legislation, which it's not going to happen in fourth session, regardless if they give us one. But we should be writing legislation that tells the federal government, if the citizen of Texas lives here, operates here, I don't care what happens outside of here, you cannot mandate vaccines on people in the state of Texas. Plain and simple. The federal government does not have the authority to tell you what to do with your body. And we've just got to start fighting back. But if we don't start empowering the people and let them understand that they have that authority and stop from the state level allowing this stuff to continue to go on, then what are the people to do? I mean, right now we've got 8 weeks until a lot of contractors have to choose whether they want to permanently alter their body with a so-called vaccine that I'll disagree. I don't believe it is. You can call it that, or whether or not you lose a job. Which one are you going to go? And thankfully, I don't have 100 employees for my business. We have 26, but I have never enforced mask rules. on my employees. To be honest, I've warned them twice my entire time. And I will never enforce the vaccine. I've gone into homes all year for 18 months without a mask. Nobody stopped me. I went into Home Depots. I went into Walmarts. I went into every place you can think of without a mask. And if they wanted to enforce the rule, that's their business. Fine. I won't support you any longer. And there's plenty of businesses I will no longer support. We have to stand up against the tyranny that's going on.
Okay. We probably don't have enough time to go through all the issues here, but you obviously are savvy, so you've got a presence on social media. How do people get to know more about you?
So you can go to my website, which is Sorrells, 4texas.com. You can also go to the shorter version, which is s4tx.com. That's still the number 4. I've got pretty much every social media platform. We're trying to expand all of them and use them a little bit more. So on all social media, it will be the @Sorrells 4 Texas. So I've got my website up. I've got all the social media accounts up, including TikTok. As much as I don't want to do it, it's reality, right? You got to do, it's missions, right? You got to accomplish your mission regardless of the methods.
I think it's safe to say I'm not on TikTok. So,
yeah.
So one final question. This is your opportunity to tell thousands of people what you think and what you want to know. What haven't we talked about that you want folks to know?
So I think the point is that everybody needs to understand that if we don't start changing our voting habits and the way we do things, that we're not going to get different results. When I first started this out, I had ideas of what I wanted to do, and ultimately it was to tell the federal government and the state government that you're not going to control us any longer. We're not going to put up with you. We're not going to take it any further. And at this point, we've kind of gotten to 3 options. We either vote and hope we can outdo the algorithms and beat it. We can choose to fight a war if it continues to go down this path, which nobody wants to see the results of a war, or you can choose to be a slave to the government. And I'm not going to be a slave to the government. Never will be. And I sure as hell won't let my children be a slave to this tyranny. So, I'm standing up because I refuse to look at my children in the face and say I never did anything. That I sat around and complained on social media and complained to my friends while my rights were taken away. And so now I'm doing exactly what I told everybody I would do if they continued this. And I'm now running for the most powerful position in Texas. We have to fight. We have to stand up for our rights. And we need to reach out to everybody that feels like us, that believes the same, the Christian values. Jesus died speaking the truth. People want to act like as Christians we're supposed to be the nicest people in the world. Well, I hate to tell you, but the man we believe in, the man we put all our faith behind, died standing up against government and against people that didn't believe what he was speaking about. So when are we as Christians going to do that? And that's the position we're in now, is we have to stop turning the cheek left and right. And, I'm out of cheeks at this point. So we've got to fight. We've got to stand up for our beliefs and our values. And, if you believe that I'm fighting the right fight, then you need to disciple my name the same way Jesus tells us to disciple all Christian values, because this is good versus evil. Look at what just happened in Houston with the Travis Scott event. Right. There is evil among us, and we must fight against it. So, I ask everybody for their vote. I ask that you look into my campaign, you donate, you volunteer, everything you can do to help me out, because if we don't make changes now, we're looking at a lot worse situation soon.
All right. Aaron Sorrells is the candidate for Lieutenant Governor in the Republican primary, March 1st.
Yes.
And thank you for coming in and stop by and see us again.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. For Angelo Live, I'm Yantis Green.